I want to kick off the 2025 incident management with Alarmtraq. My name's Jeremy Bullard. I'm the director of DevOps. I have a long history of being within the managed services industry, so I have a very sound understanding of how to tweak systems and how to integrate systems to give them the best outcome. So in this presentation, I'm going to go through the different sections of incident management and kind of talk about the different components that we have. So kind of the agenda today will be the introduction, talking about incident management, talking about alarm management, talking about some of the new enhancements that I've put into Alarmtraq, and then just kind of having an open discussion, answering any questions that anybody has. So basically, this webinar discusses the overview of topics that are essential for managed services and Alarmtraq platform to support it. So when we talk about Alarmtraq, you kind of want to understand like what the platform really is, right? So the platform combines advanced functionality with affordability, making it an ideal choice for businesses to seek reliability and innovation. Alarmtraq was actually founded by Jim Riley, who's on the call, in 2002. It was acquired by intlx in 2023, and we moved the platform to a new subscription model called Alarmtraq Partner Edition in 2024. So really, there's been a focus on enhancing the product, its functionality, and giving users advanced capabilities. So with that capabilities, we want to ask ourselves, what is incident management? So incident management basically is an approach that a company will take to identify, respond, and resolve disruptions that provide impact to normal operations, right? So incident management is the component where you're actually getting alarms and creating tickets. So when you do that, you have to have some sort of funnel to be able to send those alarms to, whether it's, are you sending an email? What's that workflow kind of look like? Are you doing an API integration directly into one of your own applications to automatically create the ticket? So when we talk about having the capability to integrate, you really provide you lower your time to resolution, right? Because now you can automatically create the tickets. The whole goal in incident management is trying to automate the process, so that way you don't have to have a huge staff, looking at things and watching screens. It's the ability to get in and have that integration already configured, so that way incidents will actually auto be created. So what does incident management kind of mean to you, right? Customers interpret incident management differently. So, for example, one customer may say that, they want to see warnings. Other customers only may do major, minors, and criticals. They may take it and they may want to integrate differently into the different platforms or do something different with the data. Customers have different CRM systems and processes. Customers have different products, right? So they got to support different products. Some may want via Aura, some may want Cisco, some may want ShoreTel. Customers have different environments all together. Customers classify what's actionable differently, and customers have different security requirements. So the whole point of the slide is talking about how each customer has a unique environment, and how they use a tool has to be dynamic, just like Alarmtraq's dynamic. So that's the kind of goal and purpose behind Alarmtraq, is having the ability to be dynamic and to be able to allow for you to integrate however you want and kind of self-manage it. Have yourself a portal to be able to enable or disable or make decisions. So that's really the goal of the incident management, right? So there's an incident management dashboard. There's also a wall board that comes with Alarmtraq. This is just a web page that you can kind of go to. You can watch all of the alarms that come in. If you look at this, you can see the alarm number that came in, the date that it came in, the equipment. So usually one of the best practices that we have. So, we're continuing to enhance the product. So one of the things that we're doing as of right now is moving things away from just having regular site data, but breaking everything apart into more of a tenanting structure. So you'll have your asset, you'll have your equipment. So easily identifying the different components and providing workflow based off of each element in that tree, right? So whether it's a company, whether it's a site, whether it's a piece of equipment. So that's the direction that we continue to improve towards. Maintenance objects, it shows this, and then obviously this shows what the alarm was, whether there's major, minor warnings. So a lot of times in best practices, you really don't want warnings unless you're going to do something with them, right? So one of the things that's unique about Alarmtraq is it has the capability. So if alarm comes in, and I've seen so many people fail at this in their configurations, right? So if you're going to have warnings, right, the key purpose behind those is to take an action, right? Everything that you have within your Alarmtraq or your monitoring solution has to be an action-based approach. So what you want to do is make those warnings. So if you get a clear or an alarm, that you automatically can close the alarm, let's say through an API or shut down the ticket. So, let's say something's going in, it's throttling, going up and down, and then, it self-remediates. You want to be able to take that human intervention out of it and say, okay, this came in, the system acknowledges that it's been cleared, and then actually take that warning alarm and then apply it to the major or minor that you got, and then associate that. So in the next screen right here, that's what we can kind of see in this screen here on the right-hand side. So you can see that this alarm right here, this critical or major alarm that came in, was actually cleared by alarm number 10149 automatically. So what's kind of the great part about this, right, is how do you take it and make the tool work for you? So that way you don't have to have all of this overhead of people watching stuff and making it truly integrated. So that way you truly benefit from what the platform can actually offer. So what's kind of cool, right, is so you have the incident management, which is, what are your processes, right? Do you open the case into, Zendesk or to some other application? What's your SLA? How do you kind of treat that? Do you automatically add a ticket handling note? One of the things that, is really great about the Alarmtraq product is its capability to auto remediate. So one of the things that's important before we get to the auto remediation piece is alarm management, right? So we want to talk about what alarm management is. So alarm management is basically reclassifying alarms from pre-populated alarm libraries to actionable incidents that meet the severity level of the customer, right? So so this is the very difficult part, and I'm not sure how many people understand this, but when it comes to S&P is very unforgiving. You could get, I think the other day I looked at one system, and for 1 second in time, it got 800 alarms, right? So you got to be able to take that noise, quiet that noise, and be able to take action on the things that you kind of need. So with the alarm management component of it, you can go ahead and reclassify different alarms. So with the Alarmtraq product, there's a bunch of supported manufacturers that we actually have, audio codes, Avaya, Cisco, Fujitsu, a whole list of them here. So really that's the event management component, right? So event management being the capability to for intlx slash Alarmtraq to be able to provide predetermined MIBs for you. Then having the alarm management where you can reclassify alarms for your needs, because maybe you don't want to see a CMON alarm, or maybe you want to make that a minor alarm, or so really giving the customers a lot of capability. And this list is obviously something that we continue to grow out. So if there's not a product on here, with the new platform, which is a subscription-based platform, it really is one of those things where we're listening to our customers, we're adding the feature functionality, and it's an all-inclusive platform. So everything being kind of included into it. So this is one of the components of alarm management, basically. So on this, I'm looking at the one of the maintenance objects of an alarm. So PE, processor Ethernet. And what this does is you can go in, you can allow duplicates, or you can say, so let's say you wanted to do test alarms, right? So you want to allow duplicate alarms to come in, but you want to change the treatment to be warnings so people don't see warnings, in the knock. So what's kind of great about it, right? If you have, let's say, an API integration, you can make it so warnings don't create tickets, but you can actually do your testing. So from the dashboard, you can actually see it. You can change however you want to kind of treat the alarm. And what's great about this as well is you have the command section. So right here for this, you can set commands based off of this. You got the command, you can set the suffix, you can send a port assignment to it, and you can use it as a bash prompt. So it's really great is you can automatically, assuming that you have end-to-end connectivity with the customers, be able to run commands on it. Now, each one of the way Alarmtraq was originally designed was for customer-based systems, so it's all part of their infrastructure. Now, right now, we don't offer ZTNA access to it. We kind of leave it open-ended, so that way customers can kind of choose their own option for connecting, because there are such features, security. Each customer is a little bit different, so each business partner can kind of choose what they want to make that actual happen. With the auto alarm remediation, this is one of the dashboards that we have there. So we show a history of it, we show the command that was run, and we actually show the results. So we talked about, the end-to-end connectivity. So in this case, the media gateway minor alarm came up, and you can see that we had the port 107. So it automatically ran the command automatically, resolved the alarm, and closed the ticket. So which is amazing, right? Because it's all about bringing in efficiencies into your NOC and into your infrastructure. So that way you don't have to sit there and always watch it. You can have those resources, be spending the time on things that really matter in the business, such as the high level ones. And so change management filters. So with the Alarmtraq product, which is really great about it, has filtering capabilities. You can assign an action to it, and you can define a time range. So this is like change management, right? So when you get into change management, right, there may be a customer that goes and says, well, I'm going to be doing maintenance on this location or this piece of equipment. I want to shut off alarms for that. So you can go in and you can specify the time frame that you want to shut alarms off, and then auto have it come back up, and you kind of you assign the actual parameters in there. So in order to actually do that, it's done from the application side. This piece is actually going to be brought into the user interface in the near future here, something that we're working on actually at this point. So you would come in, you bring up the actual Alarmtraq application, you select the alarm that you want, and you click create a disable notification rule. That will actually autofill all of the information in, so you're not having to try to fill it in. And then you just save the rule into the Alarmtraq system. And then what you'll be able to see is on the web page itself, after you add that rule, the alarms filter dashboard will allow basically a single place for you to see the workflow rules that are being applied for the change management. So if you look at this, you can see that there's one in here already. It's going to be for file sync, and it's going to be the action of drop, and it's going to be from 6:24 to 6:25. So really cool feature to have. As we kind of talk about, the application, we want to make sure that the application is dynamic and that we're able to, eliminate the amount of alarms you get. So change management is that ability to be able to eliminate noise, right? That's the whole goal when you have a knock, is how do you eliminate as much noise as you want and make it so that it's only actionable things that your knock has to do or it has to see. One of the components that's great is the A Gateway software. So when you start to talk about, appliances, What a gateway software is basically software that can be installed on any sort of appliance and put onto a customer site. So usually that can be put into a DMZ, depending on whatever the customer specifications are. The application comes in Linux and Windows. And what's great about this is this really provides the encryption, right? So there's some cases where you can set up SNMP v3. Not sometimes not all applications can support SNMP v3. So what this will do is this will actually encrypt all of the traffic going over the internet, egress, and it actually provides an extra layer of blocking. So you can actually set up a blocking file within the actual appliance itself to be able to stop alarms. So that way you don't have to process them at the Alarmtraq server itself. So that's kind of the nice part of what a gateway is. And then obviously if there's some sort of ZTNA software, zero trust network access software that, a customer would like to use, or a business partner, they can always install it on that endpoint to provide that end-to-end connectivity to the customer's environment. So this is actually, like I said, that's like the fantastic part about the subscription, right? So with our solution, right, we're not nickeling and diming customers, as everything's kind of included. So the A gateway software is included as part of the service offer. It just makes it, so much more secure for customers. And there's a real benefit there. With that A gateway software, there's actually a status dashboard, so you can actually see the status of the gateway. So you can have a centralized web page here. It'll actually show you the IP address and whether it's alarming is enabled or not enabled on it, and whether it's speaking back. Sometimes depending on your infrastructure, you can go ahead and so let's say your Alarmtraq, and this is where we talk about where you can really kind of benefit, right? So instead, and this is the hard part, right? So if you have, let's say, a customer that's just pointing data, right, it becomes very hard, to restrict like that data that's coming in. Like, let's say, you've decommissioned something, they still have things pointed over the internet. With the A gateway component piece, you can actually go in and you can kind of manage that. So once that links down, obviously the data won't get back to you. And what's also nice about the A gateway piece is when you go in, you can actually, when it registers back, actually, accept per public IP address of that gateway, get that IP address, and that will allow the gateway to register or not register in the environment. So another layer of security, right? Vice versa. The other method where it's like you're just sending the data out over the internet and just keep pointing to your system and keep hammering the system. Oops, hold on. So kind of new enhancements that we've added in 2024, which are great. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many more that we actually did, but I would have probably 50 slides if I put them all in there. User interface has been updated, which is fantastic. It gives more of a modern look, a little bit more of a modern colors, adding some round edges, platform overview. So basically you can go in, I'll actually talk about all of these actually in a couple other slides. Disable auto create profile. So sometimes how users would do it is they would actually have an alarm come in, and then it will automatically create a profile for that alarm that came in, right? So the problem with that scenario is you could have multiple things on an environment, and you could be creating a lot of devices that you don't want to monitor, right? You may only be, they may only be paying, for 5 devices, and if somebody goes in and configures, traps to be sent to that appliance, right? Then all of a sudden there's no real control over that mechanism, right? So with I'll talk about that feature in a second, but with that feature, it gives a lot more control. Event management library updated. So with event management, as I said, event management is where Alarmtraq goes out, finds all of the latest MIBs, creates those MIBs to be able to convert the MIBs and alarms and OIDs and all of that information into something that's human readable and that we can take action on. Linux A Gateway package, as we said, a Linux A Gateway package is the software package that can be put onto an appliance and provides that secure alarming back to Alarmtraq. Workbook upload. So the workbook upload, this really kind of differentiates the platform. So this is really going to have to be utilized with the A Gateway software. And what's kind of great about this is you get an onboarding workbook. You take the onboarding workbook. You always have to do some sort of discovery process with customers. What's your IP address? What's your user credentials? Whatever you need to collect, and then you can take that workbook and you can actually import it into Alarmtraq, and it will automatically build all of the product IDs for you and all of the devices. Really, really cool. Eliminates a lot of headaches, and it makes it part of the onboarding process. It makes it more simplified. We talked about automatic product ID creation. One cool thing that we ended up adding with the A Gateway software was an offline alarming resending. So if for some reason something were to go offline or whatever, we'll take it, we'll cache it, and we'll resend it. Another benefit of the A Gateway software. API integration expansion. So we really did a big focus on expanding out what do we integrate with. That's going to be a continuous effort. Enhanced filtering is another piece that we added into the actual tool. So that way, if you go into, let's say, the sites, so usually how we kind of delineate it is company, asset, IP address, and you can actually just put in the search, and that will do a regular expression and actually get you to the data that you're looking to filter on the site management. Product labeling. Another fantastic piece that we added that goes hand in hand with the workbook upload. So that way you can tell, is it a communication manager? Is it, a media gateway, or what is the assets, right? Giving you control over what the products are and understanding, what is it are the commands, or what is it that you need to do to associate, that piece of equipment. And then licensing model. So obviously we moved to a subscription-based licensing model, which is fantastic. It's great for all of our customers. I think everybody that I've talked to has been super excited about it. It really allows them a lot more control, because what happens is over time, right? You end up having this. Nobody does the cleanup of the devices or whatever. So this allows you to really kind of determine, what do you kind of really need, what are you focusing in on. And one of the great things that we actually provided in to the release package is, okay, let's say you have 100 devices. How many of those devices have really alarmed within the last 365 days, right? Because even though you're managing it, right, there may be things that you need insight into understanding, like what are we getting alarms? Did something change? Did somebody go out on site and do a software update, or did something change on the network? So really kind of cool functionality. So this is the new user interface that we have. Your logo can go here. You can see all the rounded corners with everything. Get the about now on the top left hand side. And if you look at the Alarmtraq webpage here, you can see all alarms. This will show you that, like, with the warnings in there. Active alarms, that's just without the warnings. Wall board, so if you need it up into a knock facility where you want to show all of the stuff coming in. Edit sites and profiles. This is where you'll do asset management, be able to classify the type of connectivity that you have. And then obviously maintenance objects is where you go in, you put in the maintenance object that you want to modify. It will filter it down, and then you're able to modify it. The platform overview is kind of the about section. So this is kind of the cool part, right? So we're not hiding anything. Everything's like straightforward, in your face. Like, you can look at one single point of location, understand, like, if you have high availability, which one's the high availability server in the environment. You can see the Alarmtraq version. Okay, maybe this one right here, we can see this one's 11.021. This is an older release, so you can see the version of Alarmtraq. You can understand who the the company, who the contact is, and then when the subscription will actually expire. And then with that, you can actually see the license count, right? So this is the license count, the device count, and then the active count. So the license count is the maximum number of devices allowed by your current license. So that's how many you'll have there. The device count is how many devices are currently registered in the Alarmtraq database. So you could have so many, 519 devices in your Alarmtraq database, but you're only going to be able to license in this scenario 25 of those. And then the active count is the total number of devices that have received alarms within 365 days. So if you look at this and you say, I'm licensed for 25 licenses, but I see an active account of 32, maybe you're supposed to be getting 32. Maybe you're not. You may have to increase your actual license count, but really giving high availability, insight into the overall system, and then what you have for devices on the system. We talked about the disable auto create profiles in the summary. So what we did is we actually created this system-wide feature. So if you don't want to automatically create unknown, because I know personally, like before we used to have this enabled, and like we would get like unknown alarms, and then you're like trying to track down like what are these devices, like, and it becomes this whole process, right? And then you get the Knox getting noise, right? And like the association is not association of what the data really is hasn't been put in yet. So it's like there's kind of this guessing game, right? Because at this point, something's probably been pointed to there, but now it's automatically created a profile. So you're alarming on it, but you don't even know who it's associated with. And, so it becomes this big challenge sometimes to have to actually manage. So with the auto create device profiles after alarm, so you can actually enable it or disable it now. So if you want to, you could actually enable it, do your alarm testing and then re-disable it if that's the methodology that you want to do. But it really keeps the asset management database clean, allows control over the assets that are coming in. It'll actually help to reduce noise. So a great feature enhancement that was added in 2024. With asset management, so you get the ability to actually manage assets under management. So keep doing that. So when you go in here, you can go in and you can go open this up from the web page, and then you can add the device. You can delete a device. You can update a device. So usually when right now, what we've been doing is taking in, we add in the actual under site name, we add in the actual company, and then usually we'll add in the FQDN of the product, and then usually an IP address just to make it easy for searching functionality. As I said, we're expanding this whole thing, so we're going to have company and asset and all these other components here that will make it really simplified to be able to manage assets in the near future. Disable alarming for this site. So if you click on this and you click update, that will stop alarms from coming in for this piece of equipment. So really easy to do. That's kind of the goal, right? Try to make everything as easy as possible. Asset management, so the ability to disable and delete assets, and the ability to see where your licensors are actually installed. So what you'll actually see here, is device counts, right? So if you come in with a subscription, you can actually disable or delete assets. So basically what this will actually do, so what the Alarmtraq, what it'll do is it'll look at assets that are disabled for alarming. If they're disabled for alarming, they won't actually be in the actual system. So this is a really quick way for you to be able to manage all of your assets. So this is what the new subscription status. So you'll be able to see in the just this example that where the license is actually valid, it's green. You can actually disable it, and then your list would actually go down. And then you can go in and actually enable it on the main screen to actually enable the if you go back here, right? If we re-enable this, it'll show back up on the list. So it will basically consume all of the top 25 alarm pieces of for the license that within the actual database. And then, like I said, you can manage it. So you can assign and manage, what is it that's assigned for a license for your subscription. The workbook for onboarding, like I said, this is really utilized with paired with the A Gateway software. Basically, you can see right here, click here to download a blank workbook. All you do is you fill out the workbook, you drag and drop it in, and then basically that will actually create a XML file that you actually download, and then you install this devices.xml onto the A Gateway software, and that will allow you to have end-to-end alarming. So really quick, easy. You don't have to worry about the product IDs or anything like that, or having to manage anything. So once you actually drag the workbook in, it'll automatically create the product ID. It'll reduce the time, and then it really creates all of your your equipment into the site manager. So really, really great tool there. So what's the Alarmtraq benefits, right? At a high level, we always kind of look at, what is it that, what is it that makes my life easy? I don't know if you guys have ever heard, people kind of go in and they're talking about like a product, and then, you get in and you get the sales pitch, but or whatever, you get the sales portion of it. But then when you get into it, right, it's like, it becomes like a whole lot more complicated than what it is, right? So obviously, I think the benefits with the Alarmtraq is you get the enhanced functionality. We're really streamlining it towards the user experience. Like I said, I think one of the things that probably differentiates me in the market space is when, I came from a VIA tier 3. I used to be an RFE, RSC. So I got to go out onto like a lot of customer sites and see a lot of the issues that they had, and understand, like, how I can take that information from like the complexities of what customers have and put it into a product that will benefit the actual end user. So a lot of the benefits that I see here are the secure alarming, right? Capability to do it. So even if you can't support SNMP v3, you take it, you get the gateway appliance on site, it'll send it out through HTTPS egress, encrypted to the Alarmtraq server. Automated command remediation, right? Taking the user out of it and having the system automatically try to remediate that alarm. There's a huge benefit for that, right? What's kind of great, and I don't even think I talked about it, is if you have that API integration, right? What's one of the fantastic tools or components about Alarmtraq is you can go ahead and it will actually take and take the alarm information and push it out through the API into a ticket. So that way, all of the information is already in the ticket. It's a quick customer onboarding. If you use the workflow engine, you don't have to worry about trying to find product IDs. Product IDs are a thing of the past, right? Product ID is really just an indexer file with it, or an index number within a database. So now with the onboarding workbook, we automatically create those, and then it's just drag, drop, and copying over that XML data into that A Gateway software. Easy to modify alarm definitions and alarm classification. So the ability to really tweak it, right? So tweak the system, make it what you want. Do you want duplicate alarms? Do you not want duplicate alarms? Do you want to run a command? Do you not want to run a command? Should it be a major or a critical or a minor? Or maybe you don't want that alarm at all, right? You really get full control over it. And that's kind of what the event management actually provides. The event management provides the alarm libraries for you to be able to go ahead and to be able to customize them for your needs. Pre-built alarm libraries, that's what I just talked about. And then easy to disable alarming, right? So ability to shut things down when you need to, so that way you're not creating alarms. With the A Gateway software, like I said, you can shut alarms down at the gateway level, so that way they're shut down even before and not sent to the Alarmtraq instance, right? Saves on IO, and the ability to have to process all of these alarms, right? And like I said, a lot of these alarms can be very, very noisy, so how do we kind of be able to manage those? And then obviously the alarm management Alarmtraq solution is very cost effective, and that's kind of the great thing about the subscription model, right? A lot of times when you talk to all these other vendors, it becomes very complex and very expensive with these. So this is like it's like taking money and like throwing your money away, because these other tools will actually be like I think we're very unique in the market space, where I think we're the only ones that do per device. So a lot of these other models go by how many endpoints you have. You could have, back in the day, like when licensing was cheap or whatever, they would give you, 10,000 user licenses or whatever. You know what I mean? So you would have all these endpoints that you would have to pay for that you're not even using, right? And we know that's the one thing within the phone systems that, user cleanups, very rarely done, right? So, it makes it very difficult in a lot of these other platforms to be able to be cost effective in the solution. Vice versa here, if you want to, you can really understand what your cost is going to be. Customer has here. I think that's the next slide right here. So, so you get discounts. Sorry, depending on the different tiers that you have. So as you go up, you know what I mean? If you go to, let's say 26, you're at $4 per device or whatever, or you go to 101, now you're at $3 per device. You times that by 100 or 500, you know what I mean? And so this is an effective way to be able to price a managed service and not always have to worry about what's going to happen on the next renewal. So what's great about the subscription pricing is per device, not endpoint. It's billed annually. Per tier discount, as I talked about, 1 year support contracts included in that, and we include 10% flex. So let's say you had 100, right? You get 110 devices, so you're getting 10 devices for free within the actual alarm. So that allows for growth. And what's really great with the subscription model for us is it's just a matter of you coming back to us and saying, you know what, I would love to increase it by 50 devices or 100 devices. And then we send over the purchase order or whatever. And then literally if you go back to the other page, we'll sign off on it, say, okay, yep, this looks good. And then we'll push the license update. So now, we don't have to go to the system. You don't have to provide a key code. So in the older model, you'd have to provide verification codes, and it was very complicated. So with the subscription model, it speaks egress out to us. We actually can go in and actually update that license on the fly, and then it just gets pushed out to your system. So it's very easy to manage. And it's a very simplified approach. So, that's kind of where, a summary of the incident management. So with incident management, every customer's environment is different. Alarm management, you can kind of tweak the infrastructure to be how you want it to work, which is great. Event management, we actually provide all the alarm libraries for you to do it. With the subscription model, we're very versatile. So, if somebody says, hey, I didn't see an alarm library for this, if we can get a MIB, we can usually create it pretty quickly, going around. So, I appreciate everybody's time, and I think we're at a point where we can go ahead and start to take some questions.
I do have a question. Why is Alarmtraq now subscription licensing?
Yep. So subscription licensing allows a lot more control, and it allows you to actually have the assets that you only need to. So with the subscription license model, you pay for what you need. You know what I mean? You're not overpaying, and you're not paying for all of these other endpoints that are out there or anything like that. So the versatility of the model allows users to go on demand for what their needs are. So it allows for a business to be able to scale.
Thank you. We do have one more from the Q&A. Do disable notification rules have to be created for all maintenance objects individually for a respective location, or can one be created for all maintenance objects at a site when needed?
I believe, I'll have Jim double validate, but I'm pretty sure the answer to that question is you can go in and you can just put it for actually the site or the equipment, whatever it is, and you can do it. So when we go back to the actual filter page, right here, 1 second. I went by it right here. So instead of clicking on just this, you can go ahead and put in for everything. Is that correct, Jim?
Yes, that's correct. Anything that where it says leave this field blank for all. So in that case, it would be if you left the maintenance object field blank or everything under there blank, you would more or less turn off alarming for that device for that period of time that you're selecting. But if you had a say a media gateway alarm that was being triggered for hundreds of different media gateways, you could leave the onboard ID or the equipment port blank, which would allow for all the gateways to be blocked. But if you only wanted to block a particular gateway, you would just fill out the equipment that you needed.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything else, Carly?
Is it easy to order more licenses?
Absolutely, yes. So as I mentioned before, you just reach out to us. We'll provide you a PO. Once that's signed off on, we literally go in and we adjust the license file. Most of the time it can be done in the same day. You just and then on the about form, you can actually go. There should be a push. Where is it? Right here. Push updates, and then it'll go out and it'll retrieve the new license. So very easy. Another reason why we went with a subscription model, not one of those things where you have to provide any sort of physical thing anymore. It's just really streamlines the capability and the workflow for being able to update your licenses and manage your infrastructure.